Hey, thanks for joining me. I'm David White, and we're going to unlock the 5 secrets to expanding your reach and engaging your audience. A little bit about me. I've worked with lots of major clients and also many small ones. Each one of those clients, by the way, was a small team, and I just worked part of that team. I led projects for small teams within some of these major and minor companies, some of them. In all sorts of industries, as you can see. I got plenty of references and testimonials I can share over at my website, davidwhiteconsulting.com, and I've appeared on various news outlets, Sky News, LBC, in the UK, Telegraph, Marketing Week, and across Europe and the US. And you can follow me on X at Tribal Ideas. So, yeah, I mean, we briefly passed by this, but we're looking at 20, 30 years worth of work there. Lots and lots of projects, up to 60 members of staff, multiple teams, many of the projects lasting for years and years. But here's a fantastic quote that I really love, and it is, content is king, but distribution is queen, and she wears the pants, from Jonathan Perelman, who was from BuzzFeed, super successful content generating website that created buzz. So the 5 secrets, this is the promise that I promised to share. It stems from the fact that we live in these connected networks. Every one of us is in a different network. We have a home network, we have a work network, we have customer network, a supplier network, a colleague network. We are surrounded by networks, right? And when we can understand the 5 Ps, which I'm going to go deeper into, these are not the secrets, but these are the secret behind the secret. So this is going some way to explain what the secrets are. The 5 Ps, people, pitch, process, performance, and presence. When we really look after those, manage those, then that just helps us explore even more opportunities than we would otherwise see. So many of us see our customers as being one group when they could be hundreds. So many of us see our colleagues as, one group of colleagues. But in fact, each colleague member is its own network. Similarly for suppliers, as I just recounted. But you take each one of those connected networks and then you apply the 5 Ps to them. And that's the big trick, if that's the right word even, or the method. It is a method that you can use to explore and understand those networks and determine whether they can work with you, for you, or you for them, for that matter, right? So we're going to consider them, and we're going to consider the problems that we need to overcome in order to lead a winning business. And I think you'll find that it's, these Ps are individual tools that you can use and you look at them through this lens, these networks that you work within as a lens through which to acknowledge the people. It's people that deliver, people that serve, people who are your customers, okay? So, let's put it another way. Most of our businesses focus on their product, their software, their solution. But actually, the more we focus on the audience, our connected networks, and the many networks that we connect with, then we move from we've got to sell this thing, to, hey, we've got all these people to satisfy, please, deliver to. And it's a much more kind of abundant world full of opportunity than it is saying, Jesus, how do I sell this thing, right? Which is normally for the smaller company, the startup company, or even a large division. It's like, we're in a small team. Like when I was working with Disney, we were working with Disney Resorts, but it wasn't any resort, it was Disney Resort in Paris, for example. Narrower and narrower and narrower. Everyone works in one way or another on a niche, or they have a specific finite project. And how do we open that up? And the kind of old-fashioned way, or the wrong way, is to focus, it's all about the product. It's not. It's all about the audience. Doesn't matter if our product's good or bad, if the audience isn't buying it. We could have the best product in the world, but if the audience can't see it, you go bust, right? If they're not buying it, if they're not seeing it, they're using it, not consuming it, you have no business. Doesn't matter how good your product is, okay? Now, you can't sell a rubbish product to a fantastic audience. That's not true either. So you have to have a good product. So let's not move away from that. It's just that when it comes to selling stuff, running a business, we need customers too. Okay, so we're going to go through now these 5 issues, and the key of it all is managing reach. I've given you some clues, and engagement. So not only can we find that audience, but we want to interact. We want them, ideally, we want them to come to us. I mean, that is the cheapest form of marketing, right? If we could do one thing, and that one thing turns into hundreds of people coming to us, wow, now we can focus our energies and become even more efficient, or become super efficient at what we do. And this is the essence. This is exactly what we want to do. So we're going to run through those 5 issues now, looking at it from the perspective of the problems that we have to face. And as I go through them, you'll start to go, gotcha. Okay, and that's how this works. You're going to say things like, this is for me. This is what my clients could benefit from. There's the secret. Okay. I mean, I could deliver secrets in 2-3 minutes, but you'd be left with a lot of answers. So we're going to go through them from the perspective of the 5 Ps, and we're going to look at the problems that you need to overcome as you go. Okay, so the first one, and it's a common complaint, my audience, my market, my customers don't understand what we do. Now, I take that as my responsibility in my business. It's down to me to educate the audience. Okay, but we start with, who is our audience? And this is the people word, the first P in the 5 Ps. So it could be, anyone that I mentioned before. But tech startups, of which most businesses are technology oriented, often fail to identify their target audience. I mean, you'll talk to many owners of businesses and they'll say, well, our audience is so vast. Our customer base is just everyone, everywhere, right? So, wow, I mean, that is like super expensive. That is really difficult to organize and manage. How on earth do you go from nothing to communicating what you do to everyone in the world, right? Is there a solution to that? Well, yeah, okay. The solution is to pick on your ideal market. Where is the exact audience that would buy your product or get the most benefit? There's always a way of grading audiences, of saying, here's a casual user, here's a pro user, for instance. The quicker we can identify where the significant users are, the users most likely to get the most benefit, the users most likely to resonate with the problem that they face, who want a tool or want a service to solve their problem, the better. And we move away from this worldwide everyone to this narrow group just out of town, right? Or in the same town as us. Because if we can narrow the distance, we can reduce the time. So if we can start with a local market and expand out, which of course we can, there's nothing to stop us. But it means that our communication with the local market is going to be faster. We're going to be talking in the same language. It means that we can pop along and see them, right? We can see their world, understand how they're trying to implement what we've given them. We don't want to particularly be there and do the installation, but you know what? For our first customers, maybe we do, because maybe we've assumed a lot about our client environment, and we need to be in front of clients and with clients and see them actually use this stuff, whatever it is that we supply, even if it's insurance. There's nothing like being on site. And you can get a train or a plane or a car journey anywhere. But if you're starting out, why not start out in your neighborhood? Now, if you happen to be national, again, test new ideas locally where it's easy for you to do it, and then roll them out nationally or internationally. I've done exactly that. I found something that worked in London, because that's where I live, West London even, because I live in West London, right? I rolled it out. I mean, I started in Hammersmith, I rolled it out, but which meant I went all the way to the city, which was only like 2-3 miles away. But that really worked too. I then took it over to Europe, which wasn't so far. Paris, across different cities, Belgium, Berlin, Germany, Europe, right? And from there, I thought, wow, this is fantastic. And as it happened, I joined a US organization. And I took what I did out there, and very powerful, very effective. And I joined with all these different networks, all these different audiences, some of whom spoke different languages. All of them had different technologies and techniques and abilities and issues. Every company was different. Every single client that I work with got a personalized solution. Now, that also runs against the grain for a lot of people, and you have to choose. I like personalized solutions because you're going to get 100% audience satisfaction and understanding, right? As well as that, you get absolute tie-in, like they can't go to anywhere else because no one else will want to tailor what you do. And thirdly, you can charge a very high price. You can charge a price for the setup. You can, specific support. It's all bundled in. It's part of the package. It depends on how you customize, what they want in their package. So it's not that you necessarily price gouge or charge more for the same thing. It's more that you do bespoke services, each item requiring a fee or a charge. Okay? Happens in so many industries. But it can go massive. It means you need less clients and you'll make more money, less friction, less wear and tear. But you have a choice. You don't have to do that. That's one way. Another big issue is ineffective messaging. Small but businesses often struggle with inconsistent messaging across channels. So a different channel is, for instance, across YouTube, across Facebook, across Twitter. These could be like social media channels. It could be through partnerships, through working with other companies. Some whom are partners, some of whom are resellers, some whom are distributors, some of whom are salespeople, right? How do you guarantee that each person says exactly the right thing? It's really difficult. I mean, I've worked with salespeople and partners, swear blind that they've said X, Y, and Z, the essentials, only to discover that really they haven't, because these surprises keep happening, where customers get upset because they haven't got what they expected. And when you investigate, you discover that they bought something that perhaps we don't sell. They bought a solution to a different kind of problem. But the salesman was so good, he just, or she, just kept quiet and took the order, which kind of is pretty much what a salesman should do, right? Speak, speak, speak until they get the order. And when they get the order, say no more, right? That is what salespeople do. But this can lead to misconceptions, misunderstanding, poor messaging. So there are ways around this. For example, the welcome pack. Hey, we're glad you're on board. Here's the onboarding procedure. In it, you'll find, and then you have detailed blah, 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 whatever it is. So now forevermore, you can point out that this was delivered and included within that welcome pack were the issues addressed. The messaging was complete. And you can even call up after a delivery and you can say, you've got your welcome pack, good, you've been through it, you have, fantastic, you've verified all the issues. And that way, if you're going to get, a return or have to issue a refund, you can do it really quickly, really effectively, with the minimum fuss and trouble. And usually the only reason to give any kind of refund is because the buyer has bought something they didn't intend to buy, because they thought they were buying something else. They just had this weird notion that what you sold was this and what you delivered turned out to be this, and there's no, they don't match, right? The message was from them or from you ineffective. It just didn't fix, didn't work. With a welcome pack, with a follow-up process, onboarding process, it reduces them, or at least filters them out quickly before there's any real damage or cost or disturbance or even upsettedness occurring. We just head it off quickly. 3, ineffective processes. Okay. I mean, this is classic. Bottlenecks. It's not just marketing teams and sales teams certainly face this. hey, we've got the order, we've got the materials, but they're not being distributed, they're not being delivered. There's not enough delivery staff, there's not enough equipment to deliver whatever it is that you're delivering. And this is usually down to poor workflow management. However, it can be managed. I've been in this situation where there are legitimate reasons for bottlenecks. Sometimes there are issues to do with suppliers. Sometimes it's not the supplier, it's actually our fault. We haven't got the people we need to process, or a faulty batch has gone through, or something has gone wrong. And so you have a recall, and so what was there is now not there. Sometimes these problems happen beyond your control, or should be within your control, and despite that, they still happen, right? So bottlenecks just do occur, and through careful process management, we can actually minimize these things. We can avoid them. So, for instance, we take an order, and when we take an order, we say, great, our delivery team will be in contact to talk to you about a delivery date. When's that? Well, it could be within 3 weeks. Plan, of course, is to deliver within a week. So if the client turns around and says, I really need it in a week, the salesperson will say, I'll see what I can do, but the chances are high. Even though we say 3 weeks, we try to deliver within a week. So still making no promise, but saying it's possible, and then coming back to the headquarters or wherever, with the order processing in place, and saying this order really does need to be in within a week. So the management of the business then decides whether to give that order priority, because some orders, sometimes it's possible to do that. Other customers are quite happy to wait 3 weeks, whatever the scenario is. But usually it's best, the best solution to ineffective processes is communication, right? It's keeping the people in the loop, connected. Let's not pretend something that we know is going to go wrong is not going to go wrong. Let's not pretend that we can deliver in 3 days, knowing full well we're lucky to deliver in 3 weeks. Let's tell the client up front that, hey, the normal delivery time is 3 weeks. Giving the client the opportunity to say, okay, I'll place the order somewhere else, or I need it in a week, and if you can't do that, I wouldn't place the order. They then at least give you the chance, and now you can manage it, okay? 4, poor performance tracking. I am a broken record on this, right? Because I see it so often and all the time, everywhere, right? Most companies have tracking systems built in. They have it built on their website analysis. They have it in their CRM. They might have it in their production systems, in their accounting systems, in their all sorts of processes. So many nowadays are tracked and managed so well, comprehensively, solidly, and they produce these weekly, daily, hourly, monthly reports. Okay, but the question is, A, is anyone looking? And the answer is usually, yeah, the person who produces the reports. But then what? Who is actually acting on those reports? And the answer is, in most cases, not many. Part of the reason I believe is we don't like to admit or accept failure. Okay, we'd rather not know that something's slowed up, gone wrong. It's like, well, that's your job, fix it, get it done. I've heard all these statements. It's common, okay? But actually management should, it's their responsibility, it is the business's responsibility, and we need to track actual performance to delivery. Right, because, if the same thing keeps going wrong, then we can build it into the process and apply an action team to go and fix that same thing that keeps going wrong. And I know it's like, whack-a-mole. You're always like, there's another thing, there's another thing, there's another thing, bang, there's another thing. All these things occur for all sorts of different reasons. Okay, but I tell you, if we're not tracking them, they start happening by accident, and they happen everywhere. So tracking them can often give us an early warning as to something is about to go wrong. We know that we need 400 pieces, but we only got 200 in. We know that we've got 400 leads, but we've only got 200 items of stock. whatever it is that's needs to be tracked, should be tracked. And then, you'll find that sales will actually go up, right? So you'll be making stronger and better decisions. And the last one, weak online presence. So many, again, these technical companies. I'm not having a go at technical companies. I'm a technical person. I know all about it. We love to really focus on the technical stuff. Get it work. I'm as guilty as anyone. We want to get it working. We want it to be perfect. Minimum mistakes, maximum uptime. You name it. It's built into what we've done. But the problem is, with all this introspective thinking, our focus on our product, we can leave the marketplace wide open. And when that marketplace is wide open, we leave a door for a competitor to come in who may just be better at marketing and have a really bad product. But the customer doesn't know that. And allowing a competitor to come in with a really bad product affects everyone, because if they get found out for having a bad product, now all the customers in that segment, they talk to each other. It just goes everywhere. And they get used to the idea that people supplying that kind of product is a problem and is rubbish. So, and it affects customer reach. It's the wrong kind of customer engagement. What is it? A complaint is communicated 5 times more than a compliment. Right? That's just the way it is. You would expect, this is part of it. From a technical perspective, we think that if we do a really good product, everyone will tell everyone else what a good product. What actually seems to happen is if you deliver a really good product, you become that customer's secret, right? You are their secret sauce. You're the reason why they are so good, because they employ these tools that they won't tell anyone where they get their tools from, but they get their tools from you. You are their secret sauce. And that doesn't help you in marketing. You really want a case study. It's one of the reasons why many companies don't want to be featured in case studies. Because they don't want to be telling the competition that they use you. Because who are you going to sell to? Their competition. They don't want that. They want to maintain their competitive edge. Tough. The other thing, of course, about a case study is you end up highlighting a problem that they don't admit they ever had. So now you've got a case study without a problem being solved. If you want sign-off, what's the point of that? It's very difficult, very difficult. And these things can lead to having a weak online presence. Well, the great news is, using the 5 Ps, people, pitch, process, performance, and presence, okay, there's 5 angles to be communicating what we do to our marketplaces, our different communities, our different networks that we operate with. So there's no need to have a weak online presence, despite those customer objections to being a member of a case study or participant in a case study. That's how it goes. Okay, so this is a great quote from Howard Schultz, who's the guy behind Starbucks. Yeah, if people believe they share values with the company, they will stay loyal to the brand. So his big value was to advertise his coffee shops as your other front room. Okay, live resources. I've got some live resources, 5 or 6 documents which you can download from bit.ly, bit.ly/live resources. Go visit. You'll need to register, and then you'll be sent an email, a list of all the resources from this particular presentation during the week that it's live. They'll still be available thereafter beyond that time, but you'll get access to that week's resources from that week's presentation. So this will become a historic presentation and go live in the archive. All the presentation will still be available. The resources are then available through my Patreon group, again, which is accessible. The link is within bit.ly/live resources, or you can just scan that QR code and take you there, you register, and then you go visit bit.ly my Patreon group, and you can download all the resources for every single video in this series. Do that. Okay. Let's talk a bit about Network Navigator and content marketing. So the 5 P's are things that underpin the framework, Network Navigator. I'm going to look at it from a content marketing point of view and go through just again what these key issues are. So number 1 is we need to identify your key target audience. You want to network with influencers and partners, like actually not just identify them, but go to them, walk amongst them, get to know them, wear their moccasins, walk in their footsteps, go to where they go, look at the websites they look at, like become familiar with your target markets, your various segmented audiences, of which there are many, supplier, many customer, many partner, many employee networks. It's just hundreds and hundreds of people that surround even the smallest business. Pitch. Craft a compelling message, but not a generic compelling message, because it becomes less compelling. One, message that fits all just isn't compelling, but one message that fits each target market, wow, that becomes powerful. So you might think, my goodness, this is just going to take so much time. And I said, yeah, that's why you need to go one marketplace at a time. Start local, prove it, make it work, roll it out. That's how it works. And you can do that with content marketing. If you get really smart, you can come up with some generic stuff. But still, when you pitch, when you actually talk to a client and you expect them to buy from you, they really want to hear how it's going to work for them. And throughout all of this, you need to be consistent in your branding. So adopt a style and stick with it. It's difficult to do, especially when we're coming up with new products and we want to differentiate ourselves from the competition, differentiate one product from another product, differentiate ourselves in different markets to different teams, stamp our personality or our personal authority onto something. Branding can become an issue, but we need to keep it clean. Streamline content creation and distribution, like process. This means have a plan. So a simple thing is to use a calendar. We call it a content calendar, but we map out in advance what we're going to do in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. It's like a business plan, but it's for marketing. But it's just like a business plan because actually we can cost it also. Or we can take an annual budget and we can spend it across the year, knowing that there's 12 months in the year. Now we do know that, but you'll be amazed at just how many people don't actually map it out. The other thing about this is content creation is not just an ad hoc, random event that you kind of like wake up in the morning, what should I do? Oh, I do this. Okay, which is the approach that some people take. Okay, I can write anything and I'll write everything, right? Everything gets written. Instead, if you have adopted or created a strategy and you map it out over time, like for instance, this video series, I've got 12 core distinct topics. Each one of those topics can easily be divided into 4. That's just to start with. So 12 times 4, 48. That's a year's worth of content if I did one a week. And that is roughly what I'm doing, right? But there's 12 key parts. And I'm going to have done the top 12 first. So they're the punchy ones. And then I'm going to follow up with the subdivisions, which reminds you, I can link back to the masterpiece, as it were. I am producing masterpieces. Why not? Okay. Content marketing, performance, setting KPIs, key performance indicators, KPIs, and tracking metrics. So I personally distribute content in a specific manner of ways. I have opt-in forms, and Patreon, and YouTube, and Facebook, and Twitter. So I'm covering a range of digital media, but I also do print. various formats. I do live events, invitations. Every single item has some form of tracking code. Tracking that doesn't really get in the way. So to most of us, you won't see the tracking that I'm using. Like, a little bit of code at the end of a link. It doesn't stop you from getting through to the page. You don't even see it. You just click on a link. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just trying to make it smooth and easy to use and to track it. And now I can work out which media works for me. And then I can say, oh, that's good. I can repeat that, or I can dig down, go deeper on that. You learn from it. And it's not just simply a case of knowing through experience. I do know a lot. I know enough to try. I know enough to be able to say, well, I think that strategy would be more likely to succeed than another strategy. But guess what? Things change. Time changes. Technology changes. People changes. My audiences change. I grow my audience. I discover new audiences. I mean, the world is so big, I can't possibly know everyone everywhere. So we're constantly analysing data, testing and refining. That's what this is all about. And that way we are moving and evolving to follow where the market goes, to give people really what they want. We do that through measuring performance, KPIs, tracking metrics, analysing the data, looking at the results and acting on them. Presence, we want to enhance online visibility. So yes, we do this with content, but we say to ourselves, well, hang on, how can I take that content and use that same content in multiple different ways? Because if I can do that, I can save a lot of money and time and effort. So I can become more effective with the time that I've got, communicate with more people. Absolutely. How do I do that? Well, I might join groups on LinkedIn, for example, tens of them. There is a limit, apparently, of about 50 on LinkedIn. But so many of us are not in 50 groups where we all could be. So if you've got 2 or 3 employees in sales, in marketing, that's potentially 150 groups you could be in. Now, not every one of them is going to be like a springboard to massive success, but you only need one of them to give you that lead, that extra lead. And that could be an extra 20% on the quarter, 10% on the quarter, 5%, whatever it is, 3, 4, maybe 10 of those leads is what it takes. It's going to vary in every single business, there are hundreds, but you need to get them from somewhere. And you get them through these different networks that exist. And we can enhance our online visibility so that our presence is expanded way beyond our website. Now, we may point everyone back to our website. We may give them information, and that information points them back to our website. Great. That's called funnel marketing. That's how we bring people in. So you can utilize social media, you can utilize SEO. One action, as I said in the very beginning, can bring hundreds of people into you, which is what we want. And this is really the outcome, is increased engagement, ultimately improved sales. And the statistics, if I say the word, there are statistics that are often in 20s, 30s, 40% improvement when these kind of techniques are improved, are added, are built in, are part of a business activity. So companies and businesses and business managers and owners that don't use these techniques and don't focus on content marketing are just missing out on huge, bold, big blocks of business through not being seen because of having a poor presence and these other things. So Seth Godin says, one of my favourite bloggers and authors, marketing's no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories that you tell. This is very true. So, if you're in the roofing industry or the tyre industry or any commodity business, there's only so much that you can say about the commodity. It's made of rubber. It's an oil-based product, right? Cars have them. They're round. I mean, that's all really boring. And it's a commodity, right? So the reaction to nearly all those statements is, yeah, I know that, it's obvious. I know what's right. It's a good car myself. I've got four tyres. In fact, I got 2 cars or 6 cars, so I got a multitude of tyres and a lot of, It goes on. Everyone's knows what a tyre is. However, you can start telling stories about the application of your tyres and why one tyre is better than another in what kind of circumstances. Now you become educational. This becomes really helpful to someone who's in the middle of or considering or knows that they will need to buy tyres. And you want to get known as being the tyre man, right, if you're selling tyres. Why would you be the tyre man? Because you're the man or the woman that knows about tyres, right? You get the client to say, you're the one for me. You're the expert. You're the one that can help my business because I don't want just any tyre. I want an appropriate tyre for the kind of business that I'm in. Okay, more on this at the live resources. Scan this and you'll get straight through. It's at bit.ly/live resources. And there you've got lessons and workshops for you to run through to apply this presentation to your business. And you'll come up with more business opportunities, more ways to grow your business, more ways to find customers, more ways to help your team service those customers. That's what it's all about. More. Now, I made a few mistakes. Let's run through. See, I made a mistake. Let's run through a couple of classic mistakes when it comes to content marketing. I have touched on these things, some of them. The first one is content marketing is a commitment, not a campaign. So, yeah, you know, content marketing is it's a forever strategy. It's not a random ad hoc thing, we'll do it this week and we'll see what happens. It's like it requires a commitment because it builds and it builds and it builds. But as soon as you stop delivering marketing, it starts like seeping away. You like create space for the competitors, your competitors, to enter it. And when they've entered it, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to gain it, to get it back. Because they'll be copying what you did because you went before them and showed them what to do. And even though this was all your campaign, your strategy, because you didn't continue with it, there's usually a market there that still wants it, and so you must continue it. Just when I talk in terms of an annual campaign, but in my head I can also think of several ways to run this into a multi-annual campaign. So that's what we want, is fundamentally a long-term strategy to content marketing, not just, oh my goodness, it's Friday, I got to get something out. And it's like 9:15, I need to get out by 10. That is that's a crisis, right? That's a problem. That's a situation where you kind of get anything out. And you look a mess. You look inconsistent. I've done it. I know. I shouldn't have done it. I learned it. I don't do it anymore. Maybe I do. But I'm more aware of it nowadays. So the first mistake is ignoring audience insights. Now, the most common answer I get, when I talk to people about audience insights, they say, well, they don't know what they are. So I'll say something like, so you've never considered who your audience is? And I was like, no, not really. And you say, well, who is your audience? And then they'll tell you. And so they have considered their audience. They haven't kind of considered that they considered their audience. They know who their customers are. They're just kind of blanking it, ignoring it. They have these insights. Who their customers are and why their customers buy should not come as a shock to anyone. It should be, they know exactly why they buy. And maybe there's some outriders, some odd reasons as well. But we can focus on the main reason because that's where the money is. 80–90% of your customers are buying for a specific reason because they're recommended or because they've got a fault, so they need a certain solution. There are specifics, right, that exist, audience reasons for your audience to be buying what you sell. And someone within the organisation knows what those are. So, you need to farm them. You need to become proficient in understanding audience insights. And I mean, the easiest place to get audience insights from are Google Analytics in your websites, because Google just delivers it on a plate. And, you know, if you've had Google Analytics running for any period of time, there's information in that data that really becomes plain to see. You can do things like tell you the age or location or gender you know, of the, or even this type of systems that visitors use to access your website. You know, are they on mobile? Are they on laptop? Are they on desktop? Where are they? What about the hours of access? Is it work hours? Is it evening hours? Is it weekend? Right? You know, what are these things? These key nuggets of information. All to do with demographics, really. But it's also timing and understanding. The more you have that understanding, the more you can deliver to them. You can talk in their language, for instance. You can put a system on your computer that can refer to the time of day. It's easy to do. Mistake number 2, the inconsistent messaging. I did touch on this earlier, but this is where you have different product groups, different product managers, different teams. Maybe they're competing with each other, but it can create inconsistent messaging, or maybe there's just not much attention to detail. Now this just makes, well, it just loses the effectiveness of all your efforts. Your efforts could be so much more effective if you are consistent with your messaging, with your image, your brand. Okay, that's what branding is all about. Your branding needs to be consistent because you want your audience to be able to say, you're the one for me. I know them. They're the ones I use. I know them. I would recommend them. Right? I know them. Oh, I need to use them again. I know them. They're my suppliers. I should give them a call. Bang. Inconsistent messaging. It's like, oh, here's someone else. But it's not someone else. And instead of a list of, you know, it's, oh, you know, I'm already sorted on that, and I don't need you. If it's one and the same, you just lost that opportunity. Happens all the time. Inefficient process, covered that a little bit as well. Not measuring performance, like a broken record. Okay, you've got to measure this stuff, but you've got to react to the management. It's an inefficient process. You need, you know, this is the kind of thing that you're looking for when you're measuring these. This is what you want to manage, is the processes, to make sure that they are efficient. Okay, it comes through measuring performance. And then the weak online presence. You've got to get a strong online presence. Everyone searches, first thing they do. So people, your colleagues, oh, they're on LinkedIn. It's a common question. Oh, you're on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Why don't we hook up together on LinkedIn? That's just the way some people, that's the media they choose. And as they are your audience, you need to do what your audience wants you to do. So I have a thing about WhatsApp. I don't use it. I consider it a major cybersecurity thing. And unsurprisingly, like millions of others, I'm sure, I regularly get messages from people who start to talk to me and befriend me online, and it goes on for a little while, and I speak to them politely. And obviously, if they start talking about relationships, I basically say, I'm not interested in relationships, thanks, but no thanks. Maybe they don't say that, but maybe they might say, oh, I talk to all my friends by WhatsApp or whatever. I simply say, I don't talk to people on WhatsApp. And they go, why not? I say, it's a major cybersecurity issue, because it reveals your phone number and other personal information. And so then they'll go, what about some other network? I said, no, is that one? Because that one's too secure. The only people that can read it is you and I. I don't know, right? So I'm not doing it. Unsurprisingly, when I say that to people, they stop talking to me. So we were getting on like a house on fire, or wherever we met, LinkedIn or whatever. That's my happy place, or Twitter, or Facebook, or YouTube, right? These are my happy places. But certain, encrypted networking technologies like WhatsApp, for cybersecurity reasons, I just will not touch because they're a huge risk. So yeah, I'm completely weak on that one. And because of that, when people try to communicate with me, I'm like, there is no communication. But that is a deliberate choice. But the same happens if there are agreeable lines of communications like LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. If you refuse to use them, then you're actually blanking out a line of communication to perhaps a rather large marketplace. And there's a lot of people who have said for a long time, you don't want to do business on Facebook, which I completely understand. What they're saying is Facebook is not for them. But the issue is something like 40 billion people are on Facebook, which includes just about every known adult, in the Western world, who might only be there because of their children. But nevertheless, they are there. You can get to them. They will talk to you because they go online to talk to their children. So they are there on Facebook. But the approach that you use, your online presence, does need to be appropriate to the medium. So you can't rock up to Facebook and just do a straight out and out pitch. Although admittedly, you can't do that on any social media. What you use the social media for, the media, the online media, is to make people aware of what you offer and what you do, and give them the opportunity to sign up or download. Now, if they engage with you, one action, people engage with you, people come to you. Now you communicate over the medium that they prefer to communicate with you. You communicate back to them. This is what leads to a strong online presence. You'll notice with many doctors, surgeries, and anyone who does patient care, dentists as well, but also vets and other people in medical professions. A lot of their communication, especially appointment reminders, is done via text. Now, text is not necessarily two-way. But the reason that they text these messages is because they work. They're very strong. How many text messages do you get in a day? And the answer for most of us is only really from friends and family, and maybe only one or two, or none most days. It just depends. Everyone's different. But the answer is few. So to get a text, it tends to get 100% response. That's the sales pitch of a text. In the US, there's a lot of text marketing done on that basis. It's also done in the UK. It's very powerful and leads to having another strong online presence. So this is a big area to be weak in. Like I say, you leave the door open to competitors. So workshops, lessons, a couple of essays to give you more background information on this whole topic at bit.ly/live resources, or scan that barcode, that code, the QR code in fact, and you'll get straight through. Register, you'll get the resources relevant to this week's presentation, or you can go visit me via Patreon. The link is in the email, and you'll get the information that you want super quick immediately. Okay, frequently asked questions. So how do I identify my target audience? I'm not going to read every one of these things out. If you do go and register for that bit.ly link, the resources, you'll get access to these slides as well as a PDF, and you can run through all these things. But the shortcut, the short answer to identifying your target audience is to use Google Analytics. It's completely free. The information is being collected. Some people are able to access it and use it really easily. Some people need help and advice. It's worth it though, because the information is there. Ultimately, you want to create detailed personas for your target audience, each target audience, because you want to understand your target audience. So you identify them, then understand them by working on it and working it out. Who's who? What are they interested in? Why do they buy? It's not about your product. It's about what they want to do. The more you know about what they want to do, the more you'll find your product fits them. Now you present your product in terms of solution to the problems that they are seeking to solve. Lots of people say, I don't know what their problems are. Well, that's what identifying and understanding your target audience is about, finding out what those problems are. What are the best practices for crafting compelling messages? We've just been talking about it. Know your audience pain point and address them directly. Be very clear, and you're looking for language that resonates with your target audience. Use storytelling. How can I streamline my content creation process? Right, we talked about this too. Develop a content calendar. Work out a plan that's likely to last a year. What metrics should I track to measure content performance? I like to track sales. But you can track lead generation. Probably be a big number, you know. We've got 20 leads, we've got 4 customers. You might want to track click-through rates. To get 20 leads, you had to get 200 clicks, 10%. Okay. Google Analytics is a tool you can use, but there's others. SEMrush, various other social media insights. Use Google, find them. But you can track engagement, traffic, SEO, and even retention. There's all sorts of things that you can track. Just don't get lost in the tracking. Tracking is one half of the equation. The other half of the equation is the performance. And the most important performance outcome is sales, customers, money. So, you know, don't be blinded when people, you know, influencers in particular say they've got 1 million likes or 1 million followers. You know, the question is, how many are really active? And out of those that are active, how many would actually respond to your kind of offer? And then out of those responses, how many would actually become clients? If you understood your metrics, if you had been tracking them and you had a good handle on them, you could negotiate a test campaign with an influencer and compare and see what happens and work out whether it's worth your while extending that campaign, because it may fail to meet your expectations but still be worthwhile. That's somehow how it works. And again, with an influencer, you're reaching out to new markets. You're starting from scratch. They know the influencer, so it's a bit like getting a referral, but they still don't know you. So you still need to do it repeatedly over time to build up. And, well, that answers this question to some degree. How do I improve my online presence? Be consistent. Yes, you can optimize your website. You need to maintain your active and engaging social media, etc. There's a whole list of things there for you to do. But it is about, first of all, understanding your audience and then working with, relating to, reacting with, answering, helping your audience, coming from a position of service. Okay. So additional tips and tactics and tricks and things. I don't know about tricks, but tactics is a better word. Repurposing content, this is fantastic. So you find one piece of content that resonates or that works rather well, convert it, use it in multiple ways, snip it up, chunk it up, make it into small bite-sized chunks. Try the same communication across different media. You know, if it works on Twitter, maybe it'll work on Facebook, maybe it'll work on LinkedIn. What's the difference? Maybe there's a big difference. Maybe you have audience differences. Maybe you don't. It's not really about the Twitter brand or the Facebook brand or the LinkedIn brand. It's about who are you connected to within that brand and how do they react to you and the content that you produce. And there may be a whole bunch of people that react very well to it but never become customers. Well, they could be the people that are passing on to the people that do become customers. So again, it's maintenance of the communication. You know, when we consider sales and the actions of a salesperson, what do? They knock on doors, one way or another. They're just like knocking on the phone, knocking all the time. How many doors do they have to knock on before they get a sale? And the answer is hundreds, thousands. I mean, obviously it varies. But the key to it is you keep knocking on those doors and you will uncover clients. That's how it works. Okay, so some reading for you. Content Inc. by Joe Palisi. As you can see, I quite like Joe Palisi. There's two of his books here. Epic content marketing, packed full of great ideas to help you with strategy. Anne Handley talks about everybody writes, and it's true. We don't like to admit it, some of us. I didn't like to admit it until one day I realised that most of what I was doing was writing. I was writing out plans. I was writing out instructions. I was writing out all sorts of information packs. I was going to say gifts, so they were. I was writing out processes to help campaigns go viral, to help get more referrals by creating information gifts. Another great book, They Ask, You Answer. Okay, so there are websites where you can go and look up common questions to common subjects that are asked often. Again, you can find them via Google, they're quite easy to find. When you see the questions that are being asked relative to your topic, you can then start crafting answers. You know, half of success is turning up, but the other half is really knowing how to answer the questions that people ask. Okay, so next topic we're going to cover is search engine optimization. This is something I was immersed in for the best part of 20 years and pioneered, where I set standards for the industry, etc. I'm literally going to share with you 5 expert SEO insights that transforms your sales and inquiries. And you can this really follows content marketing, because if you're producing content, what we want to do is to push all that content out there to the marketplace and have it consumed. And you can do this really effectively through SEO. And it is a system, it is a process in itself. It is a distribution channel for you to push that content out there and make it happen in the real world. There you go. I'm here. I'll gladly see you on the next event. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to doing it all over again next week. But remember, check out those live resources at bit.ly/live resources, or scan that QR code, register, download them, turn it into a workshop, make the difference occur to your business, see that it really works. This is why I'm doing this, because I want you to get some value from this. Because remember, I'm doing all this without knowing you, without meeting you, without understanding your business. I'm just talking about this generically. If I met you, understood your business, I could go into so many specifics that would hit the nail on the head and really turn things around for your business. Now, for that, you need to call me. You can call me via that link. You can set it up. It's a free call. We have a discussion, completely no obligation, and we'll go from there. Up to you what happens after that. But if I can help, give you some ideas, make it work for you, overcoming the issues that you have, give us a shout, use that link, scan that QR code. You'll find access to my diary or my calendar, and you can book a call. All right, look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.